We haven't done one of these in a while, folks. It's time for the North Melbourne Deathride Chart. We're sort of coming towards the pointy end of the season now, and it's almost getting to a position where it's close to being locked in what type of pick that we're looking at. There's been a few close encounters along the way, but with that being said, let's jump across to the chart and take a look at how it's all tracking. Okay, so here we are on the chart. We've got the Grim Reaper, the top right. He's still loving life with the Richmond Guernsey on. So the Kangaroos, since we kind of last checked in, they did pick up some wins against West Coast and against Carlton, which was a little bit disappointing and almost put a bit of a dent in what we're trying to achieve here. And they've actually had some close games. I mean, I know this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek video like always, but they're actually playing relatively okay and have just fallen short or kind of sticking with teams for 3 quarters and then losing at the end. But they've notched up 3 losses in a row now, which is handy for us. So they lost to Hawthorn, the Bulldogs and the D's, which takes their total tally to 12 losses. They're still in 16th position, and they're still giving us draft pick number 3 at the moment, and we've got obviously 2 in our own rights. But what's now becoming interesting is how the ladder looks with regards to the teams directly above them and if they can still catch them or not. So I thought what we might do, with not many games left in the season, let's actually jump across to a ladder predictor and try and predict the rest of the season and see where this could end up, because it's getting to a point where they can't move too much higher just because teams are winning a few more games. And we're a chance to go past them as well, which would be quite remarkable if we're able to execute that. But a little bit to play out in that space. But we'll jump across to the ladder predictor and we'll see what we can predict and see where it takes us. All right, so here we are with the Squiggle ladder predictor. I'm sure you're all very, very familiar with this. And as we can see, Richmond are in a position to potentially overtake North Melbourne. We do have West Coast this week over in Perth, so it will be a tougher assignment, and they're going to want some retribution after we knock them off here at the G. So we may not get the job done. And we also play North Melbourne again in Tasmania. So we do have 2 more chances to potentially steal a couple of wins and maybe get above them, which would be very, very entertaining. But we will go through and do the predictor. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just filter by North Melbourne games. I'll let Squiggle predict the rest of the fixture, and we will just focus on the North Melbourne fixture, so it's a bit more relative to what we're trying to do here. I don't want to try and manufacture results either, just quite. I want it to be somewhat accurate. With that said, so we've got the Swans against North Melbourne this week. Now, Sydney winning on the weekend just gone was actually really important for this game, because if they had lost, it would have pretty much ended their finals hopes. So them winning keeps it alive, which means they've got every reason to crack in and try for this game. So on that basis, I think the Swannies might get it done by about 24 points. Then the Kangaroos have got the Cats. The Cats are a tough team, whether it's a Docklands, Tassie, GMHBA, wherever you want to play them. The Cats are obviously in the top 4 for a reason. So on that basis, I'll go for Geelong by, we'll say 28 points. They're going to be very, very good. This is a really tricky one. St Kilda against North, a genuine 50-50 contest. Both by this stage don't have anything to play for, and that can often throw in a spanner in the works with how games might go. I don't know. See, some of this depends on what happens with Tristan Sherry as well. If he gets suspended, they are in a world of hurt. So I can't see how he avoids suspension with that hit. And look, I'm recording this in the middle of the day on Monday, so by the time this comes out, the result of the MRO could be known, and maybe he didn't get suspended and I look stupid, but I just think with the precedents or the incidents we've seen throughout the year, that's probably going to draw a few weeks, I think. So on the assumption that it does, I think that gives St Kilda the upper hand, because Tristan Xerri is an unbelievable player, one of the best ruckmen in the competition, easily. And without him, they will struggle to do enough damage, I think. So I'll tip St Kilda in that game. Giants against the Roos. The Giants, well, they're in the top 8, so they'll have a lot to play for, because there's still a bit of fluctuating to go within the top 8, so I cannot see North Melbourne getting the job done there. So we'll say the Giants by 32. Then they play Richmond, and as much as I would love to knock them off on the return leg, we had such a tight encounter last time that we really should have won. I'm not sure if we're going to have good enough foot soldiers on the park with enough petrol tickets left to execute it. And being down in Tassie makes it a little bit tougher as well. So I'm actually going to go North Melbourne by 17 points in that one. I think they might get the job done, unfortunately. North Melbourne against the Crows. The Crows are flying. They're having a ripping year. 3rd spot on the ladder at Docklands. Again, North Melbourne won't have much to play for, and Adelaide will have a bit to play for when it comes to positioning on the ladder. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the Crows by 22. So that's the rest of the fixture for North Melbourne. Now we'll hit auto tip to get it to fill in the rest of it, and we'll see what it spits out for us. So the end result we've got here, we've got... Oh, okay, so we've still got Richmond finishing beneath them, but it's North Melbourne locked into 16th spot, which would still get us pick 3. Essendon slipping down to 15th. The Blues narrowly avoiding getting to 14th, sorry. So that's... Look, we'll take pick number 3. It would have been quite funny if we had been able to leapfrog them, but this is all just a predictor. Things can change. But ultimately, if we end up with pick 2 and pick 3 out of last year, or out of the trade from last year and our own performances, not a bad net result. But a little bit to play out. The Kangas could still yet climb up above 1 or 2 teams, but it's getting increasingly less likely that it will happen, which is music to our ears. So we'll keep a close eye on it, and we'll see how we keep tracking in the coming weeks, and we'll check in again soon with the North Melbourne Deathride Chart. Until next time, go Tigers.